Did they know the next step, or the next step, or the next step, or the next step? No. The entrepreneur did. So I knew, because I had been doing this for a long time, that they hadn't calculated the annuity value. So they said, just make the filter, and off we went. And so they don't realize. So when I negotiate with Exxon, I'm an entrepreneur. Who am I negotiating with? An asset manager. And in the full lecture that I give, I can tell you the various types of people. And asset managers do what? Asset managers, Exxon, today $265 billion company. What does an asset manager do? Reduce risk, if possible, take none. Okay? So what are they going to be focused on? The downside of every deal. Every large company looks to protect their downside. What is the entrepreneur interested in?
Risk.
The upside. That's right. So I had no downside. I arrived empty-handed, empty-pocketed, right? So I have nothing. So there's only one thing I'm interested in, right? The upside. What are they interested in? The downside. So the contract is written to protect their downside and to maximize my upside. Do they care? No. They protected the downside. You make sure to give them every kind of protection on the downside and make sure that you keep all the upside. They'll be very happy with that deal. And I've done it over and over and over and over and over again. Okay? So trust me, this is how it works. So all they wanted was, don't fuck me over in the market. But, oh, we're going to control the tooling, we're going to do this. But did we care? No. What we had is a long-term contract and we own the patents.
So you had a long-term contract with them, right?
Actually, you know what? Not at first, later, right?
Yeah.
But I think later.
So you put like a minimum amount of years that you could be...
Yeah, but the real thing is, what did I know that they did? I understood the upside. In an annuity business. I'll tell you a funny story. Okay, ready for funny stories?
Recovery would be a good one.
That would be a good one. I'm going to do another one too. We're into the business with Electrolux, and now we've got a refrigerator filter. It's replaced every year, right? And about a year and a half into the business, we get a call. This guy's rip-roaring angry into Electrolux. I want to talk to the president of the company. I want to know what he's doing, and I want him on the phone right now. Can I scream a little louder? Oh, yeah, what's wrong? What's going on? We have 220,000 of these filters replaced in the last year and a half. 220,000. We've never had a breakdown in our supply service like that. We've never had a part. 200,000. We've always sold about 400,000 of these refrigerators. How the hell are we facing 220,000 spare parts? We're replacing all these filters on warranty. Who forgot to tell the spare parts department that this is an item that's replaced every year? They did. They were selling, no, take that. They were giving away the filters under warranty because they were breaking down, which means that the machine was designed to actually, sort of like turn off and tell you that you need a new filter. And worse, should I tell you the real story? They not only were replacing them by going out to the home and changing it for the homeowner and putting in a new filter, but they felt so bad for the homeowner that they went through all this angst. They gave them another spare filter to still make them feel better.
So they sold more of your filters.
So I hear this story. And of course, they're buying all the filters from me, whether it goes out on warranty or not. I don't care. Oh, you just gave away 400,000 filters? No kidding. Really? That must have cost you a pretty penny. It cost us freaking millions! Blah, 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 blah. No, okay. So I call headquarters. Spare parts department must have never been informed about this program. They think this is a, item that, it's like a spare part. Really? We forgot to tell them? True story. How much did they really know? Yeah. Yeah. Good story, huh?
That's smart.
Not only did they not understand the business, there were elements in the company, their company, that not only didn't understand the business, but were actually destroying them. Completely. If they hadn't called me and I hadn't told them, they would have never stopped them from doing untold amounts of damage. True story.
So what did they do after?
Oh my goodness, that was a terrible mistake. No, it wasn't our fault. They forgot to tell them. Okay, recovery engineering is a good story. stories. You get all these young entrepreneurs. Harvard guy, don't like him. Okay, I'm a Yale guy. Okay, Harvard, he's a Harvard guy running a small company in Minneapolis. 25 employees, young entrepreneur, and they're making lifeboat filters. They're making a reciprocating pump that purifies water, seawater, so that if you get caught in your lifeboat, you can produce fresh water. Okay. It's a small little company. They got a little contract with the United States Navy for lifeboats. They're bobbing along. He tells me to come on down to Minneapolis. He wants to talk to me quite anxiously. Never heard of these guys in my life. Go down. Tells me, all right, I've got a plan. I'm going to take over a whole sector of the consumer water filter industry. And the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to take this thing that looks like an egg, and I am going to sell these end-of-tap filters, which means they attach to the end of the tap in your kitchen. And we're going to do this, 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 this. And he tells me this plan. And I'm raising money, and I'm going to do this. Now, I have the same plan. But I'm OEM. I don't go out to the market. He's going to go out to the market. He's going to go out and raise money with Goldman Sachs. How? He got Goldman Sachs because his father worked for Goldman Sachs. Harvard, get it? Harvard. And so what happens is, he's going to raise $30 million in the first round. Now, who's the adversary? Teledyne Waterpick. If you're old enough, Teledyne Waterpick had the first end-of-tap filter. They were making millions of those things. He says, I'm going to hit them broadside. Now, we had gone to Teledyne Waterpick and told them they had to switch to this high technology, and they wouldn't. This guy's saying, I'm going to kill them because they won't. You know what we did? We bet this little guy. Now, he could not make the egg work. He tooled it, and we call this a shoehorn problem. He tooled the product, and the filter element that goes inside the egg, he never called us until after he was tooled. You know, I forgot to mention that I'm already tooled. You got to fit everything I want in the little egg. No one had made a filter that small in their lives. This is a high flow rate filter that provides a lot of health claims. I mean, it takes out lead, takes out VOCs, tests all this stuff, and it's in a little device about the size of an egg. It's totally insane. Normal filters are double the size of this Coke can. So suddenly he was going down to something like really tiny. We developed the technology, and it worked. And we plugged it into him, and he went out, and he creamed the market in 18 months. He had everybody routed, and they were on the run. Okay? He came pouring in. We were making 7 million filters, I think, in the second year. 7 million filters, $30 a pop. This kid was flying, okay? So we were flying, he was flying. What does he do?
He just goes out to the market.
No, he sells out. He sells to Procter & Gamble. The pure division of Procter & Gamble is recovery engineering. He took that product and 4 years later, end of 4 years, right? 1999, sold out for $200 and something million.
I was thinking more too of the inventory situation where you have.
Oh, they don't want to give back. Yeah. That's too disgusting. Okay, I'll mention that.
That was.
All right. Here's the deal I got. You want that deal?
Yeah.
Okay. Here's the deal. You have $30 million, and I'm a poor entrepreneur selling B2B. I mean, I'm never going out like you to the consumer with the Goldman Sachs money. Of course, I'm backed by Exxon, but we won't go into that. Here's what I'd like to do. You give me a deal. I'll make you these blocks, these cardboard blocks that go into your little egg. And here's the deal. I want you to pay me, up front, so that you can cover my costs. And I'll give you a really good deal on the little filters inside the block. But here's the thing. I don't want you to pay me upon shipment. I want you to pay me before I order the raw materials. So you really cover my costs. So pay me 70 days in advance.
And they did it.
That's crazy.
Okay. 70 days in advance. What does that mean? He's scaling up from nothing to 7 million. 7 days in advance is not like he's got 30 days to pay out, or 60 days, if he takes advantage, right? But now he's backed it up 68 to 30 to 0 to 70 days in advance. What am I sitting on? I'm sitting on cash. And he doesn't ask, I'll pay you in advance for the cost of raw materials. I'll pay you in advance for the whole ticket. He doesn't even get clean. I mean, this is a Harvard guy. You know, you can fool these guys. I mean, so, you know, that's the difference between Yale and Harvard, yeah? So what happens is he's paying me the cost of raw materials. I'll tell you, the price of the product was, I hope I give you the right number, about $1. Cost of raw materials, 11 cents. Instead of paying me 11 cents in advance, he gave me the full $1. 70 days in advance. So I'm being paid 100 days, that's 1/3 of a year, early. Okay, everybody, okay, you gotta hold your head and go, oh no, this can't be right. Okay. Would an asset manager have cut that deal?
No.
No. Would he have thought to even cut the deal? Only a crazy entrepreneur cuts that deal. Okay? Now, distant thrall. Throw away the book. What kind of contract can you negotiate if you really set your mind to it? I'll tell you a funny story. I was really a young entrepreneur when Exxon and I really started up. And the first contract we cut with them, I didn't have money for a lawyer. So I cut the lawyer. I wrote the whole thing and I wrote it all. Did all of it myself and cut a contract. The next time they're doing a much bigger contract and they have to refer to the original contract, and I have a real lawyer. And he looks at the contract and goes, what the hell kind of lawyer wrote this? I mean, my God, you creamulated these guys. Who the hell is this guy? I want to hire him. I said, I didn't have money for a lawyer, so that's me. He says, no normal lawyer would have pulled this. Okay? Okay, so the point is, you can cut deals, and entrepreneurs are totally different deal cutters. So who has the advantage? Really good entrepreneurs beat other people in negotiating all the time. Primarily because they have two really big advantages. They understand the business model very deeply. Okay, they really understand it. They understand things like annuity, and what else? They're only focused on the upside. The other skill is dealing with managers who are telling them, listen, what happens if there's an incident where we have an assurance, and they're going all over the downside. We want to protect, make sure it's a limited partnership, that we have complete deniability. I mean, this sounds like someone like BP planning this oil thing. Right? Okay? Right? BP. Did you see the contract they wrote with Transocean? We give you a complete liability waiver on everything. On environmental damage, on anything and everything imaginable. So Transocean, thank you very much. We have a complete liability waiver, everything except if we murder people, okay? Literally. I mean, they gave a complete liability waiver, so that's BP. That's Exxon. Did you get the notice that the similar industries? What kind of contract did they cut? They gave Transocean a dumbass contract. It's very easy to cut good contracts with large companies. Just the opposite of what you expect. If you get into a negotiation with a large company, it's like heaven. Get into a contract with a guy who, it's all his money. You want $5 million from me personally? That's like, my wife and I are going to study this thing for 2 weeks before we, it's not going to be like that in a big company. $5 million, yeah, okay. Well, petty cash kind of thing, or, we won't buy pencils for that division, and we'll give you the money, okay? So that's it, right? It's not their money, it's very easy, right? So we actually find cutting contracts with large companies incredibly easy. That's why B2B. Entrepreneurs love the B2B if they're really good entrepreneurs because it's easy.
Yes? Is it not a bureaucratic process when you deal with companies that doesn't need a lot of steps to be approved?
It won't be if they came after you.
How do you make them come after you?
That's a long story. Okay. The fourth item is the annuity. Okay. So the idea is that you want a continuing income stream. Now, there's several other features of annuities that are interesting. Economic malaise. Refrigerator sales really go down. Housing market crashes. Everything happens, right? How much does it affect your sales? Especially if it's an item where you won't get ice unless you start replacing it. Annuities are more resistant to the boom-bust features of our economy than capital. What's the first thing that goes away in a big boom and a bust? In a big bust, what goes down first? Capital spending. You're not going to buy that new refrigerator, okay? But you will have to still buy spare parts, okay? So it ends up that annuities, on average, are more resistant to the boom-bust of the commodity cycle and the economic cycle. So for a variety of reasons, you have a more stable business when you have an annuity, okay? When you're in the capital business, people stop spending, you're going to be dead very quickly, okay? So what are the industries that crash completely and utterly? Machine tools, for example, complete destruction. When the automotive manufacturers, like say, things are going badly, what happens? Crash. Dead. I mean dead like nothing, okay? So we have lots and lots and lots of friends in that industry, and they're in the wrong business, right? Because they haven't turned it into an annuity, okay? So the idea is to turn everything into an annuity. And here's the thing. You can turn almost anything that you never thought possible into an annuity. Okay? Never sell and then say goodbye to the customer. Always sell and then that customer and you have a long, long, long relationship. And they're paying you every month, every year, whatever it is. Every business you see from us has the annuity. Partly because if they're correctly structured, they grow geometrically. That is, they compound the growth rate here and they amplify it. And number two, they're almost resistant to recessions. Almost. They're not completely, obviously. But they're very resistant. Okay? Now, annuity-based businesses mean that I can also, what? I can have much better cash flow. Okay? I don't go through these. It's not like that. Okay? Yeah, sorry.
None of these are disclosing their annuity, but if you look at Apple, they release a new iPod that's just say every year, and it's just almost the exact same thing, but with one or two more features, and people are still crazy after it. And
Yep. You know exactly what you're talking about. Anybody want a Toyota? Yeah. There's no car key on this. There's no car key. They don't give you a car key. This is the car key. That black object. What does it contain inside? Your battery. And how much are you going to pay for that battery if you ever go back to them? How much are they going to make you pay for that? Annuity. Exactly. They figured out everywhere, every manufacturer is now seeking out an annuity. They want the annuity. They're not dumb. It took them a few hundred years, but they figured it out. Okay?
So warranty does not cover...
No. Huh. Okay, so we've gotten through level one, which is what are the features of a business that we like to invest in? I'll go through them again, except software. We're going to get to you. One, low price. Two, at least as good or better than anything else. Okay? Third, scalability. Fourth, annuities, income stream. With those four features, I can tell you, if you come to me, I'm an open checkbook if you have one of those. Okay? They're rare. They are well worth the effort to find. Okay? If you compromise and find crappy ideas, you will spend whatever number of years it takes to learn a bad lesson. Okay? I normally tell people, spend the time to develop a good idea. Now here's, of course, the problem. Where did I come upon this good idea? Kind of difficult. Everybody experienced that? I want the good idea right now. 5 minutes. It's not going to happen, right? So we did an exercise, right, this afternoon, right? And I said, okay, $100 million, right? We go back to that. $100 million idea, we have I'll give you 1 hour, right? I gave you a full hour. That's pretty good. Okay. And of course, they were rather stumped, right? I don't think anybody came up with even a $1 million idea. Darn, you know? Carl was really hurting there. He's a Western Ontario guy, so we're not going to, yeah. 1 million, okay. No, you can't come up with an idea that way. So where do the ideas come from? Okay, we have a team that came to me from Waterloo. It's for TOTs, we call it, TOTs. You use that term broadly, or is that like a secret sauce term? Do you use the term TOTs? These guys are TOTs. That's your guys and girls. So it's a 5-person team, and tots are top of the top. Hired by Google, hired by Microsoft, paid big bucks. Left Waterloo, came back 3-4 years later. Now they're back in Waterloo, and they want to form an entrepreneurial business. They've experienced the industry, and they've had enough of it, and now they want to become entrepreneurs. Okay, so they're TOTs, they're the best, they're the top of the tops in computer science and whatever, okay? And they were now 2 years into it. Did they have an idea? Nope. They're the best intelligent people that can emerge from this environment. And they can't do it. Not good. Why? Well, can't do it over lunch either, right? Okay. Why is very simple. I have a lot of, this goes on and on, but I'll give you a smattering. You won't get good ideas because of 2 reasons, and we go back to the beginning of the lecture. One is, in my experience, schools don't actually teach you how to come up with good ideas, and the environment is not where you find good ideas. Now, we have a lot of little tricks to trick people into giving us good ideas. They don't actually give us their ideas, okay? I never took an idea from anybody, but what did they really do? I said, what did we do? We talk to big companies and we say, okay, I'll give you the example of Coca-Cola. That's a really classic, right? Coca-Cola. And then we don't think you're really a good inventor. You can't possibly do what you think you can do, okay? I'll tell you what, guys. Do me a favor. We'll meet next Tuesday. And here's what you're going to do. Come up with 3 problems. Not just ordinary problems, but I want the ugliest, nastiest, insoluble problems that have ever emerged in the history of Coca-Cola. I want all your top engineers in the room, and I will solve them on the spot. Oh, get out. Yep. Okay, so they agreed to that deal. Okay, I said, I don't want anything ordinary. I want something so ugly hard, forget, no one has ever solved it. So they did. They came back, said, problem number 1, and we're actually doing this one. 120 years our companies worked against this problem. Never solved. The source of all of our quality control problems, from the day we were formed in 1880 to now, 120 years later, not solvable. We cannot accurately carbonate water. Huh? Do you know what? They can't accurately carbonate water. When you go to McDonald's, and you hit the button there, and you get your Coke, what you may not realize is that the carbonation is way out of line. It's either massively low and it's like flat, or it's massively high, it's flashing all over the place, and bubbles are flying. Wrong. Okay, they cannot hit the broadside of the barn, they cannot carbonate accurately. 120 years, go back in the literature, you will see carbonators from the 1800s, and they can't do it. Okay? How long did it take someone like myself to solve that problem? Can I fake it and say it will take me another 10 minutes? No, it took about 3 minutes. And when I went up to the board and showed them how I was going to do it, they had to admit it probably would work, and they never thought of that. 120 years later. Okay, so here's a couple things that are kind of interesting. First, the trick. I phrased it in such a way as to trick them. It made it look synthetically like magic, right? Bring me the hardest problem, only a wizard could possibly ever come up with this, right? No, it's the opposite. It's like the question about big companies. Big companies are easier, not harder. Hard problems are easier, not harder. Why? Because if I had said, bring me an incremental engineering problem from your factory, they would have 1,000 engineers who knew more about soft drink factories than I do, right? And so we call that, I'm operating in their silo. So their silo is, we make sweet fuzzy stuff, okay? And so this is the silo that they operate in. So if I tell them, give me an incremental problem that exists in your silo, how many thousands of of engineers do they have in that silo? Thousands. They will beat me. They know more. They have spent their lives thinking about those little incremental problems. I cannot beat them. But how did I phrase my question? I want the problem you've never been able to solve, no matter how hard you try, and that ensures me that the problem and the solution doesn't exist in their silo. I have got them out of their sweet zone and in mine. Mine is the rest of the world. Okay? The trick is, I told them to make it the hardest, ugliest, nastiest problem possible because that automatically said that the solution couldn't possibly be where they think it is. Right? But what kind of inventor am I? I'm called a horizontal domain inventor. Okay? Horizontal domain inventors work the following way. They have knowledge everywhere. Okay? And if the solution exists, I might have a method to almost instantaneously rifle through everything all over the planet and come up with the answer literally in a few seconds. Okay? It literally is a few seconds. Okay? You might pretend that you're thinking about it. And that just makes me feel like, okay, it's not complete, like, fuck, the guy just did it in 2 seconds. I mean, how could that be? After 120 years, right? How did it happen that you do it in only a few seconds? We've actually diagnosed this. Myself and another man, I think I mentioned, invented this method of inventing. And it's not by accident, okay? What happened? You did not invent it. Not my conscious mind. The honest goodness truth is that really, the act of invention, just that one little piece called that 1% inspiration, is actually done subconsciously. You have this vast knowledge, and you can't rifle through all that knowledge fast enough. And let's see now. Should I use electrohydrodynamics, or should I? No, you're not going to cognize it like that, right? It would take you 1,000,000 years to go through every little piece of knowledge, right? But what do most people say? It just came into my mind. It came into your mind because we figured out, because there's a subconscious piece of your mind that works 1,000 times faster than your conscious mind. Okay? And that subconscious mind is able to rifle through all of your life experience, all the thousands of trade journals that you've read, all the tens of thousands of everything you've done, and guess what? It can pop the answer in a few seconds. That is the powerhouse, creative portion of your mind that you need to access, and very few people are willing to even admit that it exists, or that they can use it, or worse, control it. And myself and another guy at Yale, we're Yale's, did it. We spent 3 years and we built a system. And we said, we're going to have a system. I can use that part of my mind like that. It's very, very unique. It's a lot of work. It took 3 years. But we did it. And he's a very well-known inventor also. Who here is an engineer? Anybody done rapid prototyping? Okay, rapid prototyping machines. He's one of the inventor of the Stratasys machine. Okay? Stratasys is one of his inventions. Okay? So he's a very sharp guy, and he and I invented this. He has about, I don't know how many inventions, so maybe 100 or something like that. And so do I. So we invent, and he does it, uses the method, I use the method, we invented it together. We split years ago. But the point is, it's a method. But one of the things that I hate to tell you is, if you think I'm going to invent, and I just go to school and I can learn how to do that, you don't. Okay? You can go to school and gather a lot of information, but that has nothing to do with inventing. Inventing is creativity and control of your subconscious. You need to know how the subconscious acts and how it accesses mass quantities of information instantaneously. And you can do that. So Coca-Cola had 3 of these problems. Boom, 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 got them. They were answered. They were like blown. Wow, that's pretty impressive. Because these problems have vexed us for years. Okay, so we won't go to the other 2, but the point is, cool, okay? So we're actually building the carburetors. They're going to production like next month, and it turns out we've elaborated them in certain ways, right? And we're going to make a cool product out of it. But what's really, what did we do? Let's diagnose what Evan did. First, he got someone else to present the problem. I can't come up with that problem, nor could you over lunch. Problems are presented by people who have problems. They're in touch with the market, or they're in touch with the problem. You probably don't know the problem, and if you stay in the university, you won't have access to problems, because universities are not where problems emerge. Problems emerge in the market. They emerge from places other than universities. Universities are little ivory towers which don't have problems, okay? So there's a real good reason that you can read about them here, but you do not actually live them. Coca-Cola engineers live them. You have people screaming at them that their bubbly water is not good enough or something like that. So they are really living this year after year, and they know exactly what the problem is, and they really can define it. You need people to provide you with problems, and you need to know how to manipulate them to tell you the problem. Now, here's the next thing. Again, I refer to House. They're always lying. How did Coca-Cola present the carbonator problem? The problem is we can't get the gas into the liquid. We can't get the gas into the liquid. We want to make bubbly liquid. We've got to get the gas into the liquid. He lied. He's lying. We always used to say in KX, they're lying. We have a whole lecture of how customers lie. All customers lie, and everybody with a problem always lies. If they didn't lie to themselves, they would have solved it themselves. How did they lie? They don't really lie. That's inflammatory language. Okay, it's really a joke. They don't lie. They just asked the question wrong. They phrased the problem and they lied. They didn't want to lie to you. Okay? But they misled themselves and they tell you the same thing because they're misled. The point of carbonation is not to move the gas into the liquid, which means, like, that makes no sense. Just think that. But of course it's to move the gas into the liquid. No, it isn't. Why am I being so confusing? They tell you what they think you want to know. We need the gas in the liquid. You don't need the gas in the liquid. You need the liquid in the gas. That makes no sense. What do you mean the liquid in the gas? I mean, simple. Engineers. Who's a chemical engineer? Nobody. Ah, shit. Okay. A gas and a liquid. Where's the mass transfer resistance? In the gas? Light, fluffy, low viscosity, or in the liquid? The mass flow resistance is in the liquid. 1,000 times more dense, much more viscous. All the mass transfer problem is in the liquid, not in the gas. What have they been doing for 120 years? Pushing the gas into the liquid. Pushing the gas into the liquid. Of course, everybody phrases the problem the same way. Always wrong. The problem is that the problem is with the liquid, not with the gas. We need to disperse the liquid in such a way that the mass transfer problem with the liquid is overcome, not the mass transfer problem with the gas. All we did is I said, drop the liquid onto a spinning disk. It will come off as little droplets that are micronic. Those little micronic droplets passing through a CO2 environment actually will come to equilibrium in less than 10 milliseconds, absolutely, with the surrounding gas. And it was right. Here's the math. Boop, 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 boop. Done. You mean what the hell? That's a $20 item. It turns out it is like a $40 item. I'm exaggerating, but it's a $40 carbonator. It won't work absolutely perfectly, and it works absolutely, utterly perfectly. Solves the problem absolutely. Now, so let's go through this. You need to get to people who have problems. Even when you get to the people who have the problems, they're going to lie. That's by definition. If they did not lie, and I use that term just to describe the process, they would have solved it. The problem is that they define and describe the problem with language which makes it a lie. Your job as an inventor, and by the way, I invented 110 filter elements over a short period of time. I forget how many. We had 350, but 110 unique. 110. Okay? Knock them off. Boom, boom, boom. Now, I used to say that we used to put out a new filter element, a new invention every 2 weeks. Okay, we put out 300 products, but let's call it 110 unique. And we did it all, let's say, something like 6, 7, 8 years, okay? So 8 years, that's 400 weeks, and we did 110. So that's every 4 weeks we're knocking out a completely unique new design. You have to invent all those. Every one of them, tool them up, get them into production, do the whole shebang, knock them out every 4 weeks. You got it, boom, 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 okay? Every time the customer's coming to you, they're going to lie about a big invention or dumb, really important invention, right? The main thing is, A, you got to go places where there are problems, and B, they're lying. Now, I'll give you another example. We've come upon a technology which is really cool. Let's look at a really cool technology. Yep, you might have never heard of this one. We're going to meet the inventor tomorrow. He's coming to our offices. I've known him many years. These are 2 electrodes. They're high surface area electrodes. And I passed water between these electrodes. Okay? And the water contains contaminants. We call that salt. Salty water. Can't drink it. If I put 1 volt between these high surface area electrodes, the ions become attached to the electrode, and the pure water goes right through. It takes less than 1 volt. This is called capacitive deionizing. Incredibly powerful technology. Take this technology, 1 volt, you get pure water. So the company, Unilever, big company, says, wow, that's a cool technology. Okay? I said, yeah, it's cool technology. He's got a great invention. Okay? How? Okay, I mean, anything come to mind about this technology that might come to your mind? Okay, business, science, and all that's going on in the world. What's unique? I got a 1 volt device that if I put an electron into this device, it will separate a mole. You know, 1 mole of electrons will remove 1 mole of salt. At 1 volt. Less than a volt, 0.8. What would you do with this?
Purify water.
Yeah, purify water. Slap you in the head, of course. Well, it's doing 2 things. First, it's purifying water, and it's also storing energy. I've stored energy. This is a capacitor. It's an ion capacitor. So it's storing energy. Instead of storing electrons, it's storing ions. If I short circuit this thing, those ions are going to fly off, and you're going to get your electricity back. So what would you do with this?
Create a battery for motor on the ocean.
You could use the energy storage system rather than the water purification system.
Like a lifeboat.
Yeah, okay. This is where the lunch comes in handy. Now you gotta start thinking, what the hell would you do with this thing?
Energy for really anything. I mean, it's cool because it keeps on flowing. As long as you got the flow of water, you've got more and more energy.
Well, we're gonna load up eventually, so we're gonna get a second one. And so this second one's on standby. When this one's loaded up and the salt begins to break through, we can send the salt here. What do we do with this one? Wire it to that one. Recover the energy and purify the next water coming through the second cell.
Can we power a room with that? Like,
Well, I mean, if you got a volt, I mean, you're like batteries, so if you put enough of it together, you might get real voltage. But, yeah. Okay, here's the problem. What's the problem? Everybody knows the normal problem. The normal problem is we want to purify water. What is the value of water? I'm going to define it as X. The value of water is X. So we can make water. And the value of the water that we produce is X.
To get the salt. To get the salt.
Well, the salt's generally not usually valuable. Yeah, you're getting, yeah, we looked at that. I mean, for example, could you do ion chromatographic separations by varying voltage? Absolutely. But let's just look at, very simply, let's look at, we're going to purify water. You guys have lots and lots and lots of stuff going on in this university. There's something that connects with all this. I'm going to say it's 0.8 volts. Hello? What is 0.8 volts? Is it the potential on a silicon solar cell? Yeah. What does a solar cell generate by nature? 0.8 volts, roughly. Right? Silicon solar cell, you put a field, you know, it's 0.8 volts approximately. Okay. So an ordinary solar cell does 0.8 volts, but here's the thing, solar cells are not very efficient, right? Wrong. Who said so? I lied to you. Spot the lie. Solar cells are not inefficient. They're inefficient from an energy perspective. How efficient are they from a quantum perspective? Very. If I have 2 electron volt rays of light striking a solar cell, the inefficiency in part comes from the fact that I can't turn 2 volts into 2 volts. I go 2 volts to 0.8 volts, so already I lost what? 1.2 volts. So I already lost 60% of my energy just doing that, right? So the energy efficiency is lousy. But what was the quantum efficiency? How many photons are converted into 0.8 volts? Very high. Very high quite often. 50%, 60%. Not 15%. That's the energy efficiency of a solar cell, not the quantum efficiency. What do I need for my solar cell to drive this water purifier? I need to collect light and turn it into electrons, and I don't care about the energy efficiency because above 0.8 volts, I can't use it.
Can you use the heat from what's that?
Later.
Oh my god.
Okay, next. So, what does this device have a magical connection to? I can purify water using solar energy. And I'm not using the solar energy to evaporate the water, I'm using it to separate out the trace ingredient, the small amount of salt in the water. So what's the efficiency of this versus solar distillation? Vast. Simply vast. Okay? So now, an ordinary solar cell connected to a capacitive deionizing cell, which is incredibly easy to build, we could do it in our lab tomorrow. Okay? Can make pure water with solar energy and with much greater efficiency than one might expect because it's light, right? Into electrons. Electrons. One electron makes one piece of salt go away, right? Now, what's the molecular weight of salt? You know, like sodium chloride, 50, 60, something like that. So we're getting rid of a lot of salt for a small amount of electrons. You understand? And we're getting rid of it, and we're not phase changing the water. We're not putting any energy into the water. How much phase change occurred here? None. You overcame only the entropy between the salt and the water, not the phase or the enthalpy. What kind of efficiency would that be? Insane. Very high. Is that the invention? That's the easy one. What's the next stage? What's the next stage of this invention? That's not good enough. Think harder.
Make an annuity.
Maybe. What could we do with this? Solar energy tied to water purification? Now, you have to find the problem. Pack your bags and travel.
Oh, you charge your laptop.
Slightly. No. Pack your bags and travel to other parts of the world. Okay? What are the problems that people really face? Water. But what is the other problem that people face? Travel to Australia. Okay? What problem will you encounter? There's not much water. That's a big problem, right? But interestingly, what's the more valuable? What's the problem that's I'm not exaggerating, but not only 100x. I'm going to take this product, I'm going to build 100 times more value than the water. Okay? We want to build 100 times more value than the water. What's the thing that we're going to do with the water? This is really good inventing. Inventing goes way out of the box. It goes and disenthralls. Forget the solar energy. That was the easy one. It took me only a few minutes. 0.8 volts. Where do you see 0.8 volts? Solar cells. Solar cells. What do people not know about solar cells? Quantum efficiency versus energy efficiency. Okay. But what do we do with the water in Australia if we had a machine that was a solar cell and a water purifier? Turns out we produce land.
Fertilizer.